All right, folks, I want to do a real quick one here. So, what I want to talk about today is a ammo review, actually. So, I have here some True Velocity 223. I'm not sure what you kind of call the case material, like composite, plastic, something like that. They call it composite. It even says right there on the box, it says composite. To me, it looks like kind of like a plastic case, but I saw this at my base gun shop, and I was like, that looks kind of cool. I've heard a lot about these composite cases before in the past, but like they were around for a little while, and they kind of disappeared for a few years, and I guess they just came back recently. But this is a pretty cool, I guess, different kind of ammo development to try something that's not brass or not steel. And so I just wanted to try out of curiosity to see how it shot. And I have to admit, the marketing and the packaging they do for this is actually like really, really top notch. I think it's a little bit over the top, honestly, for what you're getting. But I mean, hey, they're making the effort, right? Like they're putting a lot of effort into this this line of ammo that they're making. And you know what? Props to them for putting the effort out and actually having like a little nice ballistics chart there, kind of telling you what they're doing, what they're trying to achieve, and so on and so forth. So their big thing is like consistent muzzle velocity, having like high quality control, things like that. So what was my experience with it? So I gathered all the cases that I fired. I only fired about 20 rounds of it, and I got another box of it over there that I will use for later because I had two rifles that I shot it through. So I have a XM177 type clone carbine that I'm going to be talking about later. I fired about 10 rounds through that, and I also fired 10 rounds through this Keltec RDB, which I will also be reviewing at a later point. So not necessarily like the most accurate platforms to try these things in, but it's what I had on hand at the time, and I just wanted to try and see what would happen. So with these spent cases, they definitely feel like plastic, and as you can see, they're pretty dirty. Maybe no more or less dirty than your usual brass or steel case. But the interesting thing that got to me was the actual head of the case here, the bottom of it here, is, I'm pretty sure that's steel, with a pretty soft primer. I didn't have any issues with reliability. Reliability extraction, rounds going off, I had no issues with that whatsoever, so that's pretty good. But yeah, the base here is like steel, and it's kind of cool how they've kind of wrapped the composite around the base there, because that steel base goes up into the case, just a little bit, not too much, but I guess just enough so that way the case doesn't like have, case head separation, right? So that's pretty interesting. I'm I'm almost positive you can't reload these. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to me why you'd want to do that, but yeah, you can see the this is from the RDB, and pretty uniform kind of, I guess, burn marks, right? And the accuracy that I got out of it was okay. At the time when I was shooting it, I did have a LPVO Strike Eagle 1-6 on top of this, and I was shooting at about 50 yards. I was getting okay accuracy, and when I say okay, I mean like 2, maybe 3 inches at 50 yards, which is, it's all right. Combat capable, sure, but even out of that rifle there, the RDB, which is not especially accurate anyways, it was just okay. Out of the XM177, because it has iron sights, I didn't really take the accuracy of that too much into account, but it shot, again, okay, even with irons. So I will say, though, the powder that they use in this, I'm not sure exactly, obviously, what kind of formulation, anything they use for that, but it smelled terrible. We're talking like, you take like, it's almost hard to describe, but if you take like leaves and stuff that have been sitting like in your gutters for like maybe like a week or something right after it rains, and they've been sitting in there a while, and it has that kind of like rotting plant smell, that's what this stuff smells like when it fires. It smells absolutely terrible. I hate it. Those who have fired like Aguila 22 cases and it kind of smells like cat piss, this whatever stuff they're using in these cases, it's even worse than that. So maybe it's a combination of the fact that these cases are getting burned, and subjected to, high temperatures in the chamber, in addition to whatever is burning from the powder itself. These things smell absolutely terrible. So if that's something you really care about, that's just a point I wanted to make about that. But yeah, so I fired about, like I said, 20 cases of these, and the price actually wasn't too bad either. It was maybe like 80 cents a round or something like that, which is kind of high for 5.56. But considering you're getting like a really really novel kind of technology like this, and they don't make a whole lot of this stuff, I would imagine. Especially if they're doing a fancy pants case or display like this, they're not selling these in like huge 1,000 round cases of 5.56. I would imagine. So this is definitely more like a boutique kind of thing, and they're probably doing this because they need to kind of recoup the cost for initial spin up production, R&D, all that stuff, right? So hopefully it takes off and they can make some more. But for the average performance for just a regular 55 grain FMJ, nothing special, 223 5.56 case, it performed just okay. Like it wasn't any worse, it wasn't any better than the usual stuff that I have. I mean, my baseline for 5.56, 55 grain regular range ammo is like PMC X-Tac 55 grain stuff. So that's always been really really good stuff for me. And I've got great results out of it. I mean, I've gotten like very very close to MOA groupings out of like my M16A4 clone with that stuff. So if that's my baseline, I would really like it if any of my other ammos could come even close to that. Which this stuff warrants a little bit more testing, but just out of the two things that I've tried in my small amount of experience with it, it's shot just okay. Doesn't really give me any reason to really go out of my way to get this stuff, but it's definitely interesting to say the least. Like I always like to see like new things and innovation development come out. So it's not just the same old thing day in day out. But yeah, I like what they're doing here. And, for practical applications, practical use, I would like to see if they, maybe they make like a different loading or something, like a super duper match loading or a hunting round or something like that, rather than your usual just, 55 grain FMJ stuff. I'd like to see if they have other stuff available, because with what they're saying, like, all the cool benefits that you get with the composite case and their whatever powder they're using for their ammunition, it probably would make more sense to kind of specialize it, like put it more into a match kind of round, like a 75 to 77 grain bullet, or a hunting application where you have like a different, whatever kind of hunting bullets are out there for 5.56, which there's tons, right? So like Sierra Match Kings or something like that, or 77 grain OTMs, like a Mark 262 kind of clone, but like put it in these kind of composite cases. I think that would be pretty cool to see. So overall, I mean, like I said, I'm not sure I'd go out of my way to go buy this stuff purely just because it's a composite case and it's something different. But if you do come across this stuff, it'll work. It'll punch holes in paper. It'll cycle your guns. It won't jam or anything. I can't imagine a jam with this though. Like if you got this stuck somehow in your action and the case like broke or something, because these don't feel like especially fragile. Like they're kind of tough, honestly. Like I can't even break it with my fingers, but if somehow like there's some kind of malfunction and the bolt like destroys this case, like you're probably going to have like little chunks of composite all around in your action, and that may be a pretty catastrophic failure in some cases. But I haven't seen anything of that. I haven't experienced it myself. So, but other than that, yeah, it's cool to see. I'd like to see things like this. I hope it goes somewhere, honestly, because if it really does have all these benefits that it lists on the back here, I'll just present that here so you can see it. So if it actually does do all of those things that it says, and they can also make it at like a more affordable price point, it could have some application. Like I don't know, God forbid we have a brass shortage or something, or the other ammo manufacturers for some reason, like we saw during like COVID and the Summer of Love and everything else, right? Where ammo manufacturers are just, they are way too busy making their own stuff for other applications, not for you and me, right? For government or whatever, right? You can have other ammo companies making things like this that don't require the same amount of materials or even the same type of materials, right? An alternative method of making things is always appreciated in, this industry, I would think. So, but yeah, I thought I'd bring that to you guys and kind of show you the True Velocity 223 composite cases. Pretty cool. So again, I hope I see more out of these guys, because you know, it's cool to see something different, something new. But yeah, if you see this stuff, I think it'll work just fine in your rifles. I don't think it'll be exceptional or anything. Probably shoot the same, just the same as everything else that you have. But you know, it's cool. It's novel. So anyway, that's all I gotta say about that. And if there's any more developments about this, hopefully I can find some and I'll review that stuff too. So cool. We'll see you next time.